Oh my God. Okay.
Does it sound good?
I think we're going to be great. I can see on the lines.
Ooh, between the lines.
Liz Coyne. The Liz Coyne interview on Life in Bold.
Wow.
Are you excited?
I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to this all week.
Have you been on a lot of podcasts?
I've been on one other podcast, and it was an interview podcast. Or no, it wasn't really as much of an interview as more of an improv podcast where like we would talk. It was the No Suggestions podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we just did some improv with Ralph.
That's really fun.
Yeah, it was
Well,
really
this
fun.
podcast is very fun, very casual.
Okay.
I've been told that sometimes people, when they're watching the clips or when they're watching the video on YouTube, they feel like they're part of the group. So, hello, everybody. We have Liz Coyne here on Life in Bold.
Hey, I'm so excited. You're
Lizzie
part of the
Sunshine.
group. Yeah, Lizzie Sunshine.
I don't think I knew you. I don't think I knew you before I went to your show. So basically, I was a fan.
Oh my gosh.
And I went with Sean Cantatori, who I mention on this podcast all the time because she listens and she likes when she gets mentioned.
Hi, Sean. Hi, Sean. Big fan of Sean. I think I met you and Sean the same day at the improv draft.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Maybe I did go. Maybe we met that day first, and then I went to your show.
I think I saw you perform at improv draft, and I was a fan.
Okay. I don't think I performed, but I think I was a big presence.
Okay. You're always a big presence. I think we're a mutual fan club here.
Yeah, I think so. And I've been just, that was scary. All these neighbors.
Gosh.
I'm sure that the audience won't know what that was, but there was just a big bang.
There was a big bang.
I loved your show.
Thank you.
And I know you've done it in New York. You've done it in your hometown, which we have to talk about because in a few days I'm doing a show in my hometown.
No way.
At their Pride Festival.
Oh.
So they're doing the second annual Pride Festival in my hometown.
Wow.
And I'm doing a 20-minute set like outdoor at the waterfront, like at the festival.
What's your hometown again?
Martinez, California. So it's in the Bay Area, the East Bay. And they asked me, I was home in July and I did a show. I think I told you that. Like I did a show in July.
Yes.
At a gay bar. And it was a drag show. And I just did like 20 minutes in the middle. And they asked, like, someone was there who runs Martinez Pride and was like, you should do Martinez Pride. And I was like, that's cool. I should do that.
You should do that.
How was it performing in your hometown?
Oh, it was really something. It was really, really cool. I think I underestimated because the show is so personal. Yeah. I like forgot a little bit about like, oh, I'm going to go do it. And like my high school English teacher is going to be there. And like, it was more like, here's my whole life. Here you go. And like, you know, I'm from Iowa, from Bettendorf, Iowa, and right on the border of Illinois. The theater's technically in Illinois. Yeah. And it drew a lot of, it was awesome. Like it went really well. It was incredible to be back. I actually did it. The people who helped me there, it's the community theater I did growing up, the Center for Living Arts. Yeah. It's, you know, the theater there is meant to do like The Lion King with 75 children. Yeah. So doing a one-woman show in that big of a space was definitely different than doing it in a black box space.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But it was really something.
Okay, so why don't you tell us and the audience here about your show, and like I'd love to know just like the inspiration, how, you know, the whole story. Where did it come from, and like how have you been developing it over time?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for asking. It's cool. I haven't really talked about the process of doing it because I've just been like, making it happen. So Lizzie Sunshine is the one woman show, but the premise is it's a 2-person show. It's supposed to be a vaudevillian double act, and my show partner's running late. He's not quite here yet. And so she's got to cover and do all of the roles. It certainly didn't start as that. I didn't come up with the premise first. It's a creation as of 2024. Yeah. So in the new year, I didn't go to a New Year's party like I was going to. I ended up staying home and like journaling on my roof and like having a moment that I wanted. Okay. I wanted 2024 to be like the year of like embracing my inner artist. So I did the artist's way. I started writing all the time, and I started just writing like, if I were going to just actually write about what I know and what I think is funny without the like the guise of what do other people like, what do other people think is funny, I just wrote down if it were a show. And I had seen one person show. I don't even know. It was a random, I got invited in January. And I was like, what if I did that? What would I do? And just started writing it down. And slowly things emerged. At first it was like going to be something totally kooky wild. And I actually met with Tim Murray, if you know Tim Murray.
I do, yeah.
So he has a solo show called Witches.
Yes.
Yes, and he's taken it to Edinburgh Fringe, and he really sat with me, and I feel so lucky to have sat with him and talked through it. And I kept coming back to this theme of my kind of inner clown is this Lizzie Sunshine. The show can't be sad.
Yeah.
It can't be sad. It has to be the show that goes on. And so I met with him, and I kept saying in the coffee shop, but I don't want it to be sad. I don't want it to be dark.
Yeah.
And I said it enough times that Tim was like, Liz, I think it might have to be. I think it might be a little sad. Like, I think it is. And so the show is kind of, I don't want to spoil it, but it's kind of metaphorical for what it's like to be a really close loved one of someone with addiction.
Yeah.
So my brother has had cycles of addiction since I was like 10 years old.
Yeah.
And so I had never talked about it. People didn't know that about me. So the process of writing it was first trying to write anything but that. It was because that's the whole thing of Lizzie Sunshine is keep it positive.
Yeah.
The good outweighs the bad. Focus on the good. Look at me. So I tried to write it and tried to not write the story about him. And then it just became the story about him.
Yeah. It was such a good show. And
Thank you.
It's so funny because I was enjoying the whole show, but then when it ties together at the end, I was so tuned in, and I was like, I get this, I feel it. I have not addiction in my family, but everybody has. That's the thing that I think that landed with everybody is you might not have addiction, you might have mental health, you might have something else, abuse or whatever, you might have something, but everybody in a family takes a role, you know. And I find that for myself, I've done something similar where I have a couple of sisters that were adopted, and they didn't have the greatest couple of first years of their lives, and it just kind of ended up being something where they had a lot of mental health challenges, and in the household it was violent because of just what was going on with them. And I do that same thing. I'm I don't want to talk about that. That's not my story. And it largely it's not, and it is nice to be able to escape from it. But when you did it, it was so meaningful because it was wow, this can be done, and it's really authentic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I'm sorry to hear about the experience with your sisters, and those things make us who we are.
Yeah.
Right. And everyone says that, we don't want to dwell on these negative experiences. I certainly don't. It's comedy. In my pitch deck, because now I'm trying to do the show other places, I literally put, I promise it's funny.
Right.
There's 90% of you is finding, because that's what art is, right? It's taking these horrible, the worst things that happen and turning it into something that other people can then see themselves in. And so that's the hope with Lizzie Sunshine is everyone has been the don't think about that, look at me, especially us in comedy, right? Everyone's been that, and I feel that's my clown, and is the avoidance of sad. And it's interesting because it's so polished. It's such a mask that I put on. And in writing this show, I don't think I was even aware how much of it I was really doing in real life. The show has helped me realize, this is going to sound all like therapy or whatever, but the show has just made me realize these parts of me that I had kind of been not paying attention to. Yeah. And I had only been paying attention to the welcome to the show personality. And there's so much more kind of underneath it. And my hope with it is that, anyone who's close to addiction, even if you don't have anyone in your immediate family, you have a friend, everyone's touched by it. And that's why it was hard. Candidly, going back to my hometown, that is hard. There were so many people in my hometown who raised me who didn't even know that this was going on because I was Lizzie Sunshine. We all put the facade around it. And, no, I'm not trying to shade my family and my parents. Everyone was dealing how they could, but it wasn't something that we were broadcasting. So then to come home and do a show that's it's not broadcasting his story, it's telling mine. But my dad, was kind of is the community going to know the truth? Yeah. And I was yeah. He's well, what are they going to think? And I said, I don't know that I care.
They're gonna think I'm a star.
And he's
They're
more
gonna
worried.
think you raised a star. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and that's hopefully what they think. I think there's so much shame when it comes about to addiction. There's so much shame.
Yeah, so much
about anything. And so I think my dad, and coming to Iowa, we're not in New York City. You know what I mean? It's not the pit. We're in Iowa, where people are not openly being here's the worst thing that's ever happened to me. People don't do that everywhere.
I know.
And so so I think in doing that, my dad was like, just worried, like, what will people think? And like, what will the neighbors say?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, Dad, the neighbors are going to say, I have an addicted child.
Yeah.
I have a niece or nephew. I have a spouse. Like, it touches so many more people. And so I genuinely think being more brave and open about it is only going to beget more conversation, and you're going to feel more supported and less alone because you're not alone.
So we're at 10 minutes and we have 50 minutes left. I think we're going to probably cry a bunch in this episode.
Oh, probably.
I feel like myself almost crying, and I just like, but I did a show when I was in college, and it was before I was always performing, but I didn't do like you said you did like theater and as a kid a little in the community theater and stuff like that. I never did anything in a group or anything with like real training.
Really?
But I did perform a lot. Like I started with like my circuses in my backyard because I was obsessed with the circus. And I would like be a clown and like acrobatics because I did gymnastics.
We are kindred spirits. Yeah. I've always wanted to run away and join the circus.
And then in like, 5th grade, junior high, high school, anytime there would be a talent show, I would do like the talent show and like be good and stuff, and then when
duh.
I'm
and really good at the talent
show. Be like entertaining and like have good stage presence. I remember one time I was the student body president in high school my senior year.
Slay.
And and I have a good little childhood going on. And I remember we had this orientation for the freshmen. I was a senior, they were the freshmen. They're coming into the school, and it was like before the school year started. So like they're gonna get a tour of the school, they're gonna do this, but like at the beginning it's kind of like a rally. And at that time I was feeling myself so much, like I'm the student body president, I'm 17, I am like the king of this town.
Yeah, of course.
Which was not true, but how I felt, like I really did feel I was the student body president. Like I felt like really good about myself.
Yeah.
And I remember that day I was wearing my little volunteer shirt, and like I felt like I looked really good, and I had just I just decorated my car, like things like that.
I love that.
And so I opened up like the rally, and I was like doing the whole like, raise your hand if you do this, and like, who's excited for this? Like, let me hear some noise. And like, I did that thing that everybody has seen where like you kind of run along the audience and make noise and whatever. And anyway, like I was just warming up the crowd, and I ended after probably like 5 minutes or something. And my leadership teacher was like, I have never seen like not only like a high school student, but like anybody with that kind of stage presence. And that became part of my identity. So like in college, I was doing performance and a lot of social media. Like in high school, I had a YouTube show. And I did a lot of social media like in college. But okay, all of that to say.
Yeah. I'm living for that. I want to meet your high school self because I think we would have been
friends.
And insufferable. We would have been insufferable, like the worst.
Were you friends with a lot of people?
Yeah, I was friends with a lot of people. I don't know that I was popular because I wasn't like whatever, but I was well liked.
Everybody says that on this podcast.
Really?
That is the theme, is like nobody was like popular, but everybody was well liked, which in my opinion, that means you're popular.
Yeah. But I just wasn't like a cheerleader. I was not getting invited to like go drink in basements.
You're not like the media's idea of like a popular American high school girl,
No.
So in college, I wanted to write a musical, and I have bipolar disorder. So I was diagnosed when I was 12. And I had been taking medication and like really like took care of it, but there would be times where I would like forget my medication or whatever. And in college, I really had a lot of like really, really, really strong feelings all the time, and like they would flip, and like I might get angry or I might get upset or like really existential. And part of my bipolar like experience is having these nights where I just kind of like am awake and I can just make something.
Whoa.
So like in high school, I used to like stay up and like write songs and like make costumes for like spirit days and stuff. And my mom would be like, go to bed, because she's a mom.
Yeah, of course.
But in college, I stayed up all night and I wrote what I called Bipolar the Musical. And I performed it for my friends in college.
No way.
Yeah. And
you got to bring that back.
I know.
You got to bring that back.
I know. It's really good. Like a 10-year. It's probably been 10. It's been more than 10 years. Maybe I'll do a 15-year like
You need to. That's so.
It was funny.
I'm sure. I have no doubt that it was funny.
Yeah.
And the fact that it came of you then, when like your first experience.
Yeah.
You didn't have the like space from it to like now it's like if you wrote it now you might be commenting more on it, but then it was just the raw the raw of it. You know what I mean? Like that's when the trauma was happening.
I should do a little special performance of it.
Oh, I would love it. I would love it.
Because anyway, but I performed it, and I think people really were like, oh, I really didn't know that you deal with this and like you struggle with this or like that you have this.
Yeah.
And I remember like a year I posted it on like Vimeo. Like there was something where like I wanted it to be more official, so I posted on Vimeo.
Yes, the official site of
right.
videos. Yeah, no, I'm the same way.
And I posted it, and I remember like a couple years later, my mom's friend was like, "Hey, I was looking for your Bipolar the Musical because I have a friend whose son was just diagnosed with bipolar, and like I think it would be really good for him to see it." And I was like, "Oh my God," like, because it was just, you know, a funny thing, but it really was an illustration of what it is like to be bipolar.
Yeah.
And like I had songs called my favorite song was called Everything Is Pissing Me Off. And I sang it like in falsetto, so it was like very like beautiful opera, like
whoa,
like everything is pissing me off, like, and I had like a just another manic night song and like some other songs. So like anyway, I really agree that like going deep and sharing something that people don't know you struggle with is like a little bit of a ticket to like a really good show.
Thank you. I think it's a
good.
ticket. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, I didn't think of it as that when it was happening. I was actually a little bit like worried. I was like a little bit embarrassed. I'm like, oh gosh, everyone's going to be like, not that everyone's going to know because no one's going to care. I was just like, oh, do I want this to like be part of my identity? And I'm like, Liz, it's been part of your identity since you were so young, before you had a word for it.
I know.
And I didn't know anything about it then. All I knew was I didn't want my parents to be sad. Like all roads lead to, I don't want my parents to be sad.
Which is the point of the show.
Yeah, it is. It's like no one in the audience can be sad. You're sad, don't do that.
Yeah.
Right? Like you just don't, it's so interesting about Bipolar the Musical. I used to say I wanted to write Drugs the Musical and have all the different drugs had different personalities and whatnot. And it never happened because I can't write music, but that's not my forte as much. One day. Yeah, I did play the oboe, but I never really wrote that many songs.
I've seen the oboe videos.
I gotta do more of those.
Yeah.
It's just, it started as a bit of me being like, hot girls. I don't like think I'm a hot girl. Like it was a bit. And then I posted one.
And everybody was like, you're so hot.
No. Just doing naked. No, I posted one and someone commented like, is the hot girl in the room with us?
No.
And I was like, nice. Yeah.
Oh
it started out as a bit and now but no, I think it's not really the internet if you don't get your feelings hurt a little bit, which is why, and I wonder if you have any takes on this, it's why I get nervous to post too much about what Lizzie Sunshine's really about on the internet.
Okay.
Because you've seen the show. It's a reveal, right? The show does not start with like, hi everyone, this is a set. Like it's really funny with little like foreshadowings until you get kind of hit with it and it sucks the air out of the room.
I did suck that's the perfect term for it, because I remember the air getting sucked out of the room when I was like
and you're like, oh no.
Well, and I don't want to give too much away, but you have a really strong foreshadowing like clue like right in the beginning. Like I think you project like this is a show about and I don't think because I really didn't know you at all either. And anyway, I think it was just it does twist at the end. So I think I'm trying to think of what I think about posting it online. Like maybe like posting people's reactions is really good, or like if you had a show and you filmed a couple friends like after the show and they were like, oh my God, like I didn't get the twist, like, or something like that, or like if you did, I don't know, like behind the scenes, you're saying like, I'm really nervous because they're like, I'm not sure if people will know about this, you know, I don't know, like a little bit more like not clips of the show, but like you producing the show or like you selling the show, or like, you know, I was watching in Edinburgh, like there's a lot of like people like doing like flyering, like Becky Goodman, do you know her? I don't know her that well, but she did a really good series of like on TikTok, I'm trying to sell out my Edinburgh show.
Smart.
And so here's what I'm doing today to do that. And every day she did that. So there would be videos of her like saying, like passing out flyers, and like, you know, obviously you get rejected a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like in the middle of that, she would be like, what my show is about is this. And so I don't know. I think that you have to get creative, because I have similar fear with myself, because songs and like posting musical comedy is hard.
Yeah.
Because unless you're posting like, I want people to be able to go to my shows and get the twists.
Yeah.
And like have it be a surprise at least.
Yes. The
yeah.
surprise, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's similar. I don't do a lot of stand up, but my friend who's a stand up is like, it used to be you wouldn't want to burn your material by posting it online. And now like things have shifted where people see it online, and because they thought it was funny there, they want to come live and see you say the same joke live.
Interesting. Yeah.
And someone told me that, and I was like, it's a interesting shift.
I feel the pressure if they've seen it online to do something totally new.
Right.
Where like I was talking to my friend Marno, who also loves being mentioned in the podcast. Marno lives in Los Angeles, LA, and she does music and art. She doesn't do a lot of comedy, but she's very funny, and she does Twitch actually. So every Tuesday she goes on live on Twitch and sings on her piano, and it's a really good little internet thing. And she I was talking to her about this topic of like, I feel like I have to make everything new, or like I have a couple new shows coming up. Like I have one on, maybe I'll just say it. Have one on Thursday, the day after this gets released, September 12th in Queens.
Ooh.
Which is another James Quesada production.
Hey.
Which is where we first met. And I'm really excited, but I do feel a pressure. Like if you've seen me perform before, like there should at least be like a couple new songs. Yeah. But then it's songs. People don't just write songs every week.
Unless they're you.
Yeah. Right.
In which case it seems like you do. Yeah, I think people would be so thrilled to hear one they already heard. Because also it's not like they've committed it to memory.
No,
like,
they have not.
But I think I get in my brain of that too. Like, I need to do, even with like posting on social media. Like I've posted a few times these videos of me dressing up as my dad on the subway, and I've done enough of them where I'm like, no one wants to see any more of that. But then I go to my hometown and someone's like, I love those ones of you as your dad. And I'm like, oh my gosh, let it go to your hometown if you want to feel famous. Let me tell you, like, I know it's such a good, and it, you know, these are like literally my cousins, so it's not but it's like you can keep doing the things you're doing. Like I'm with you, like gotta do a new thing, gotta do something totally different. But I think a lot of people who have success on the internet do one thing, people like it, and they really stay in that lane. Yeah. So I was just getting nervous I'm going to get famous for some lane, and then I get stuck doing the same dumb thing I didn't even want to do.
Well, I was talking to somebody else, and they were telling, I was talking to Julia Schroeder, and I was texting her, and I was like, I just really want to come up with a new song for this show. And she was like, listen, like, if you were doing stand-up, you would do the same 5 minutes for like 3 years.
For the whole time. The whole time.
It's okay to do the same thing. It's gonna almost always be a little bit of a different audience.
100%.
But what I'm curious what your dad said after the show
about Lizzie Sunshine.
Yeah, I've been thinking this whole time, like, did his mind change? Did he just kind of let you do it and just was kind of like, I guess it's her choice? Or was it like, was he impressed, or like, was he kind of somewhere in the middle? My dad is an interesting character. That's why I do the Subway Dad. Because you have a dad character. I have a dad character, and he makes an appearance in the show because he's simultaneously like so positive and so supportive, and like he's a computer scientist. He doesn't know anything about improv and all this stuff, but he tries to be involved because he supports me. So he's so on my team in so many ways, and then yet has the same, like, the ability to cut me down at my knees and make me feel so horrible. Yeah. Right? Like, so the thing about this show, he wasn't trying to be negative. It was genuinely him coming from a place of fear that I was telling my brother's story, and I was breaking his anonymity because we're all in these various anonymous support groups. Yeah. And I said, Dad, I'm not telling his story. I'm telling my story. And my dad has always told me, well, your brother's stuff doesn't really affect you. Because he doesn't want it to. And not wanting it to affect someone is different. Yeah. It still affects me. Yeah. And so here's the show. Go watch it. So my he saw the show. He loved it. He was so proud. He thought it was funny. And, I did change the ending a little bit for my hometown. I changed the ending to make it a little less sad, a little less true, which sucked because I don't think that
I honestly don't think it packed as much of a punch as it did in New York and will continue.
Well, everybody in New York has something like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you said, like New York is gonna be real. Like they're probably like, bring it on.
Yes.
And this is what, like, I think a lot of people who live in New York needed to, or like have to, because they had to kind of just run away from something a little bit, or just kind of like come to a place where they had acceptance and safety.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, for me, like, I even just on the very basic level of being gay, like I did grow up outside of San Francisco, so it's not like that crazy, but I felt like I just needed to be in like the city of like where everything I needed to be in the city where Sex and the City takes place.
Period.
And, like, I needed to be in like where Frank Sinatra sings about, and like I needed to be like,
love it here.
I needed to be in New York.
Yes.
And I didn't know I could be in New York until I knew I could be in New York. And
yes.
I've done so much therapy in realizing what I was running from and what I found here and what I'm missing by living here, and kind of reconciling like that. And now, because of that work and therapy, I feel like more accepting and like excited about my hometown again. Whereas at first I was like, oh my God, like I hate, whatever.
Yeah. And now you're like, going back.
I'm going back and I'm
What
performing.
a love letter. What a testament.
I know.
I love that full circle. I think that's
circle.
incredible. You're speaking to my heart with like knowing you needed to like go to New York and everything. And I think, my dad was very proud. The Rotary Club came and saw, and now he loves it. He's so proud I'm in New York. And it was just his own fears because.
And he didn't see the show first. So he was thinking, what if she does this? What if she does that?
Yeah.
He has all this anxiety about what you might do.
Exactly. And like, there's a lot of things I have censored or not done because I don't want to make my parents uncomfortable. And I think, I don't know if other artists, sometimes I feel lame in that, like, I'll literally want to post something, but it's like a little sexy or like a little something. And then I don't do it because I'm like, oh my gosh, like my Aunt Jen's going to see this and and I know, and my family's Greek. So, they're gossiping at the freaking dinner table.
But at the same time, I've learned, and it's still hard to accept, but like, I've learned that my family might also be hoes, Like,
we just have to give them the opportunity to be like that. It's me.
There's been moments with like my mom and like with just different like family members where there's just been a little moment where they're like, yeah, Ben, we've had sex.
But my parents haven't.
Right.
Like I'm telling you, they're different.
They never have. Yeah.
No.
But I just wrote a song. I'm going to play you this song after this podcast because I just came up with this song, and it's very like hometowny and like me. It's from the perspective of my 16-year-old self, which like a lot of my songs are. Yeah,
I love that because that's your true inner artist child. I don't know why I'm going for your gut here.
Yeah.
I'm like uppercutting you.
Yeah.
That's your true. That's the part of you that knew you had to move to New York.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I remember I had a high school boyfriend and he was like, we were so smitten, so in love, but I was like, but this can never last because I'm going to move to New York City and I'm going to be a big star. Like I always thought I would and I wanted to. Yeah. And I didn't come here for college. Like it was later in life that I moved here. I thought I'd move. I go to college here. I was like, no, I'm going to go have a Midwest experience. That's why I went to Chicago first. And I stopped performing for years. I really lost touch. I admire how in touch you are with your 16-year-old. There's sounds going on with your 16-year-old self because I feel like I lost her. I call her Lizzy because I go by Liz now, but the show's Lizzie Sunshine. Yeah. So I feel like that Lizzy part of me, I left her closed up in my childhood bedroom in Iowa when I left for college and I stopped performing. I stopped thinking what I thought was cool. And I never was like that. And I thought I was so myself in high school. I did all this stuff. I was that feeling you're describing of like being the stage presence and running the assemblies. Yeah. Like, I was on student council. I was an international thespian officer with the educational. So my senior year was spent going to different states, thespian festivals, and teaching workshops on leadership and confidence.
My God.
And improv. Like I
in
was
high school.
Girl, I was queen. I was not queen B. I was like queen A,
confidence.
AP classes. Queen confidence. I really was. And like I unapologetically loved Glee. I loved improv. Loved Glee.
How old are you?
I'm 27.
Okay, I am 32.
Nice.
But I still loved Glee in high school, but I guess it went on for a while.
Yeah. Well, no, I started Glee. I would have been in middle school, so just a little bit younger than you.
Yeah. Well, actually, Glee didn't come out until I was a senior in high school also, I think.
Oh.
So I was kind of a college Glee person.
Hot.
Yeah.
I think that would probably resonate with you even more. Because...
You know what, though? So that, everything you're saying, after... Okay, so Life in Bold, we're talking about being bold and going after your dreams and like standing in who you are, knowing who you are, finding yourself. That's the conversations that I end up having on this podcast. And I believe you're on episode 54.
Ooh.
So like I've had these conversations. And one thing that I realized one time about one thing that I realized one time about Oprah.
Yeah.
Is that she's actually not that educated. Like, she's not like, it's not like she like is like Brene Brown, where she's like a researcher and like, you know, but she has just had so many conversations with people where she learns and she picks up and she like understands, and then she can connect those things and understand trends. And so like for me with the podcast, even though of course like, oh, I want to get 1 million subscribers and monetize the podcast and quit my job. Well, I don't even have a job right now, but
same. I don't have one either. Yay.
But like, I realize how normal what you're saying is.
Yeah.
Because I think that as humans, we are who we are as children. We find ourselves and find a little bit of confidence. And then something happens and we just lock it in our bedrooms.
Yes.
And maybe we go to college. Maybe something traumatic happens. Maybe something embarrassing happens. Maybe you're not as far in life as you wanted to be or whatever. And then like, I think throughout your 20s, it's just like you're still doing fun stuff, you're still whatever, but like a lot of people I've realized when it comes to performers, because I mainly interview performers and like artists and comedians, and I noticed there's always kind of that arc of the story of like I lost it, and then once I, like you're saying, like once I decided to face it, it all opened up, and now I'm performing, and now I'm doing all of this stuff, and I'm on my local news channel at home.
I was.
And I feel that for myself so much, because even though I'm saying I did Bipolar the musical, I did the talent shows, like my work had a talent show when I was 23, and I did one of my songs is called Uglier Than Me. It's about how I don't want to date someone uglier than me. And I wrote that when I was 23 and performed it for my work talent show. And then there would just be like little moments throughout my 20s where I would do something performance wise. But when I turned 30, I was like, I think I have to just be a performer. Like, I think I have to go to open mic nights, write songs and everything like that. And after I started doing that, I instantly was starting to, maybe after like a month or two, starting to meet all these friends. And just kind of collaborating with people, going to their shows and being like, oh, this person's doing that. I kind of want to do this. And my creative brain opened so much. And I think that's kind of the story of Life in Bold. Like, I think that we just kind of almost all have that. And interestingly, the people who kind of don't have that, they're just kind of like, yep, I've always done this. I think that's coming for them.
Oh, absolutely.
I think they're going to have some big breakthrough, and what they're doing now might not be the thing that they do
forever.
That like is their true art.
Absolutely. I think everybody is creative. Everybody is an artist. And I truly believe your comfort zone will kill you. And it's just a matter of how old you are when you realize that, and if you decide to do anything about it. Because some people realize that, you know, I'm not doing anything I liked to do when I was a kid. I want to take a dance class, and then they don't sign up for the dance class. And, you know, that was me. And it's so comforting to hear and to talk about this with other people, because I feel like, especially going to college, I went to Northwestern, and it was all everyone's a freaking investment banker. Like, I've always just felt like I'm not really around the community of people doing the same thing as me. So I felt weird, and it makes me feel like annoying, or like earlier in our conversation, you said that you were a big feeler as a kid. You had big feelings. I'm not kidding you. I've started coloring and painting more. And just yesterday, I painted a little thing with watercolors with all these colors coming out of a black box. And it said big feelings. And it's on my room. I just put it up on my wall yesterday. Because I've always been a big feeler. I have had big feelings. And sometimes we're like, they're too much. Or my parents are like, what's going on? Like, huge feelings. And to put those huge feelings, like, into something, everybody has big feelings. They're
Yeah.
just it's just if you're willing to be brave. So
Yeah.
I love that it's called Life in Bold, because what I've been trying to be this year, and because it really all started in 2024 when I was like, what if I just pretended every day? This is how it started. What if I pretend every day to be an artist? Every day, what would I do if I were being artist Lizzy? I would wake up and I would wear this kind. My mom knit me this big pink sweater. I'd wear this, and I wouldn't wear that, and I wouldn't really go. I don't like that kind of music. I wouldn't go to that. Like, it started simple with like, I'm going to put things around my house that make me feel good.
Yeah.
So if I get grounded and sent to my room, I'll like it here. Like, I really just started pretending and being that little kid, and it has now seeped into everything, and it's created a confidence that I just kick myself for not doing it sooner.
I know.
But it's just, you're so brave. Like, I want to give you a lollipop because you're so brave. Like, you're so brave.
Yeah.
So brave.
I know. And that's something about, like, you have to be the person who's doing this thing. Like, I really do believe in that. Like, sometimes if I'm job hunting right now and, like, trying to, like, find a job, and, like, sometimes I'll be like, okay, would the person who gets this job do this, or would they do that? And, like, would they, you know, prepare a ton and, like, write notes, or would they, like, you know, go to Panda Express?
Panda Express.
You know, probably Panda Express.
Yeah.
But, like, I just think that, like, when I've come a long way with, like, my own, like, definition of, like, manifesting stuff.
Yeah.
Because I feel like back 5 years ago or 10 years ago, I might think, like, manifesting is just, like, this is going to happen, and then just kind of, like, thinking it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I've learned way more about, like, just being the kind of person that this thing happens to.
Yes.
And that's what you're doing. And it is happening.
Thank you.
You really are. And your show was not to, like, make it about this, but, like, your show was, like, really packed.
Thank you.
It was packed. Like, how did you, that's something I wanted to, like, chat with you about.
Sure.
Was, like, I don't know, because I have a few shows coming up. So, and I'll promote them right now. I have the one on September 12th in Queens.
Yes.
And that one's going to be really fun. I'm doing a 30-minute set.
Whoa.
Then I know I'm doing a 30-minute set.
That's long.
And it's going to be Julia's on it, Nicole Pasquaretta's on it, and, like, a few other people who are, like, kind of in that circle of things, of people. And then I'm doing the Martinez show in California. Right. And that is the Pride event. I'm doing 20 minutes for that, which is, like, pretty good. Yeah. And then I have I'm doing the Queer Comedy Festival.
Yes, I saw that on your Instagram. That's really cool.
I'm doing the Queer Comedy Festival. This is the second year I'm doing it, actually. And I really enjoy being a part of that group. And since I've, like, announced that I'm part of it, I've seen some other people, and I'm like, yeah, this is, like, a good thing to be a part of, even though it's, like, for the show you just really do 5 minutes at Broadway Comedy Club.
Cool.
But, like, it's a really big and good audience, so you can get a lot of engagement, a video, you know, all that stuff. And then you could win, you know, if you're the best.
Period. If you're the best. You were leading by example by doing that, because I didn't even really know about that festival, and now I'll put it on my radar to submit to that. Like, by you doing things, you inspire others to do them too. Yes. And you are such an inclusive, like, hey, I'm doing this thing, you should try. You're not like, well, I'm not going to tell anyone about what I'm doing, because that, like, that, and that's a testament to you.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I'm really trying to include people in is my October 22nd Halloween show at Stonewall, which I've posted about slightly, but I'm kind of, like, just soft launching and, like, letting it be, because it's still kind of early.
Yeah.
But I am doing my first, like, hour. So I got in touch. Jimmy Schatz, do you know him? Jimmy Schatz, comedian. He has a monthly show called Jimmy and His Box of Crayons.
I do know him.
Yeah.
I don't know him personally, but I've seen that. Yeah. Yes.
And
he was on the podcast, right?
He's been on the podcast twice.
I saw his episode.
Yeah.
Yes. Plugging.
And he put me in touch with Melissa at Stonewall, who books for the shows, and I, like, you know, pitched my little Halloween show, and they were like, we'd love to have you. And so I'm doing my first hour. I'm going to be doing a spooky evening with Ben Hawes.
Cool.
And I'm gonna I have some new songs. I have a Halloween song that I wrote that I'm developing, and then I have this song about, like, my love for Miley Cyrus.
I love Miley Cyrus.
And when I was 16, that's the song that I wrote yesterday. And then I'll have, like, some classic hits, and then I'm gonna have a couple special guests come out and do, like, characters and stuff like that. Wow. So it's gonna be, like, I'm really excited about that show.
Oh, I'll be there.
Yeah, you should come. It's
I'll
gonna
also be on the 12th. I'll come to that too. That sounds awesome.
This one on the Thursday. Yeah. This episode of Life in Bold is brought to you by my Halloween show on October 22nd at 7 p.m. Yeah, 7 p.m. at the Stonewall Inn. I am so excited. This is my first hour that I'm ever producing myself. It's actually I don't know if I've ever produced a show by myself. So that's not to scare you away. That's to tell you that I think I'm a pretty good producer. I do this show, and I'm excited to be doing my Halloween show. So it is titled A Spooky Evening with Ben Hawes, and I'm going to be doing an hour of musical comedy and stories and just kind of fun stuff, and I'm going to have a couple of special guests, which I'll be announcing soon. So you got to come to the show. You got to buy a ticket. I just made the ticket page, and I'm really excited about how that looks. And it's really funny because I also already have a picture of me performing at Stonewall on Halloween, so I'm using that for all the promos. So it's like it's already pretty set. So anyway, here's Liz.
This episode of Life in Bold is brought to you by Lizzie Sunshine, happening at Caveat, New York City on November 18th at 9:30 p.m. That is right. That is going to be the biggest show I have ever done in New York. You can check it out and get tickets by following me on Instagram at LizCoin, and the link in my bio will take you to that Caveat link to get your ticket. I'm so excited to be doing Lizzie Sunshine again in New York before I take it off to Minnesota, then to LA, then to Edinburgh next year. So come check it out while it's still in New York City. I would love to see you there. This is the coolest thing I have ever done, and a story that's really important to me. And it's funny too. So hope to see you there. And now back to the show.
That was perfect. So we should talk about like promoting shows, because do you feel like it's like, what was the main contributing factor to like you basically kind of like overselling the pit? Because I feel like it's such a unique art, and we have so many comedians on this podcast who like kind of struggle with it, or like kind of don't like doing it.
Yeah.
And you're so good at social media, and I feel like you're very like online kind of comedian too.
Thank you for saying that. I don't feel like that. Like I literally feel like such an imposter hearing that, because every day I'm like, God, I gotta post again. Well, I'm posting to the void. Like, ugh.
Some people just don't ever do it. I think the fact that you're doing it, and the fact that you're consistent with it, and like you have a feed of like funny videos that people can go see, I think is really good.
Thank you. Woo.
Yeah.
That feels really good. I dared myself. Literally, I have to dare myself. That's something I do to be brave. I'm like, well, someone dared you. Yeah. I dared myself to post every day of September. Okay. On TikTok and Instagram, and so far so good. Yeah. So that's part of it. And I'd love to talk about show promotion, but I'm going to sound like an imposter again because I had no idea how many tickets I sold at that pit show. And this is I am not trying to sound in any way braggy. Because I genuinely didn't mean it. What happened? Yeah. I invited obviously everyone I knew, and I'm thankful I have a lot of just friends. So a lot of the people who came to the show were just friends. Yeah. But like I didn't know you and Sean were going to come. Yeah. That's it's a testament to the community that people like to support other people. So I invited people. My main strategy, I posted on my social media. I went and got photos done by Joshua Going to make that poster. Yeah. And I genuinely think because the poster looked professional and it felt like me and Glee, I think having like a really eye-catching, I'm kind of grasping at straws. That's what I think made it look cool. Yeah. And then I started pretty early inviting people who I was, confident would come, like my improv team. Yeah. I've never asked them really to come to anything, and I love them, and I invited them, and all of them were like, we didn't know that this was your story, right? Like, people didn't know I was doing this because I was doing it kind of, not in secret, but kind of. So that pit show, which I really should have advocated, I asked the pit about, because they don't pay you at the pit. I don't know if we're allowed to talk about this. Is that bad?
I don't know.
Well, just, I guess performers should know, like, they don't pay you. Okay. But I messaged the pit. I said, well, if I sell it out, would you guys give me any sort of money? Yeah. And they never answered me. Oh, and then not only did I sell it out, I oversold it out, and they turned people away, and that is crazy to me.
They brought out new chairs.
It was nuts. And the people who worked at the pit, I'm going to toot my own horn because I think this is cool. The people at the pit said they had never seen it that packed.
That's crazy.
They had never seen it that packed. And I had some friends and family, but then I had people from different improv shows. I had people I had messaged just on Instagram. I posted about it pretty consistently. I posted stories like about what's going on with it. And then I just sent it to people. And maybe it's because I'm newer and I haven't been asking a lot of people to come to my shows frequently. So that maybe gave me a leg up.
This is my debut. Like, come to my show.
That's exactly what this felt like. It felt like my debut, which was very scary because I was like, oh gosh, this is everyone's. It was 74 people.
That's
in the
insane
pit
for that little room.
I know.
Because I feel like what would be normal, like if you sold it out, like, because they brought out like 4 more rows of chairs,
and then they put on the sides. Yeah, they had, so if you just have the regular seats as the pit is for an improv jam, there's 38 seats in there. Isn't that crazy? So they added all the seats in the front and then put the stuff along the side. And it was, I was blown away. I was blown away at the people who came to support me, friends who brought a friend or brought plus ones, because there was a pretty healthy mix of people who I knew and didn't know. And the coolest thing happened to me the other day. I went to an improv show. This was just like last week. I went to an improv show and I was just there. I did a little set at the end and someone came up to me and I didn't know her. And she said, "Did you do a one-woman show last month?" And I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "I saw it." I was like, "Oh my gosh, like how did you find out about it?" She said, "My friend does improv at the pit and he saw it and he just went and invited me." So I think like
People bring a friend.
People bring friends. I don't know who her friend was. Like he just saw it on the pit's website. So
true. That is one good thing is like maybe people just want to go see a show and like and they go to the pit's website and the pit like if they're trying to see a show at the pit, like I don't know, do people do that? Like I want to see a show at the pit tonight. I don't know.
have no idea. I certainly don't necessarily. I usually just go if it's a friend, but people must. I mean, I got to tell you though, I'm nervous. Like that sold out. That set such a cool high bar. It's such a great thing. But now I'm doing Lizzie Sunshine in New York at Caveat in November.
Yeah.
So I booked
November.
Caveat.
What date is that?
November 18th.
Okay.
Which is a Monday. So the pit was Friday night at 8:30.
Yeah.
So like that's prime time.
Yeah.
Caveat offered me weekends, but it was matinees. I didn't want to do a matinee. Yeah. So I picked a Monday night and it's going to be Monday, November 18th at 9:30 p.m.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first. And so honestly, I'm nervous about like what am I going to do to market that cuz there's more seats at Caveat. Caveat's big.
Caveat's big.
Caveat's big.
I agree with you, but how many seats is it?
I think it's like 130.
Okay,
if you
total.
fully.
And you don't have to fill it.
No,
like,
it's spread out enough.
Yeah, it's spread out. Like people can, even if it was only the front half, like it would still be. It's designed where it doesn't need to be filled out. Whereas like the pit, if you had like half the people, it would feel a little bit more empty.
Yeah.
I wonder. It's like I think ultimately the best way to get people to come to your show is to personally text them.
Yeah, probably.
Or to like tell them in person and be like,
Please
I have
do
this show, like you got to come to my show, like whatever. And I also do think there's some value to having it be different somehow. Like this is my first blank. Like like I'm trying to get people to come to this Halloween show by saying like this is my first hour at Stonewall. It's a big deal. Like, and I actually had a friend. I have a friend who, when I first started comedy, I was inviting her to all my shows, and she was like, "Okay, we need a little code." Where if I need to come, then I'll come. But I can't come to all your shows.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's fair. Like
that's
because
really fair.
One day I'm gonna have a show every night. Like and
I want, and you're not gonna be so stressed about filling one theater.
Yeah.
I'm telling myself that too with Caveat. I'm so excited to do the show. I know I'm gonna try to sell it out as close as I can. I'm gonna get help to do it. I'm gonna reach out personally. But also what I've started doing is I send cold emails to I want industry people to come. I want agents and managers to come because I have booked a lot of stuff this year that has made me money. I've booked a lot of gigs with bigger companies this year on my own because I've just been reaching out and doing the most, where it's like these agents and managers would be making money off me if they knew me, but they don't know me. And so I'm trying to email them and it feels so weird. So I want them to come see Lizzie Sunshine and see and be like, okay, her. Because Lizzie Sunshine is nothing but a showcase of how much of a shapeshifter I am. I do everything in it and I want them to see that. And so that's my other thing. I just wake up and I send 5 cold emails a day. Talk about rejection therapy. I never hear back, but who cares? I don't, but I feel good putting it into the ether. One day, like I submitted Lizzie Sunshine to the pit on timeout. I submitted it. It didn't get put up, but I'll do that again for Caveat. Like I just look for any
because
place.
Now that there was 75 people and like, right.
Yeah, 75 people is a lot of people. If I could do that again, you hate to have people come back again and see it, but also no, you don't. I mean,
they'll love it.
They love it, and the show's different every time, which is by design. And I tried to make it that way. It's also going to be different. I'm adding a little bit more clown in it for this next show at Caveat. So I'm feeling good about it. But the promotion, it's the hardest thing, and that's mostly why I'm doing social media. People are like, "Oh, you want to be an influencer?" I'm like, "No, I want an off-Broadway run of Lizzie Sunshine." Sunshine at Soho Playhouse. I'm going to speak that into the universe.
Yes, say it again.
I want an off-Broadway run of Lizzie Sunshine at Soho Playhouse.
Yeah.
I want to do that show multiple times a week.
Yeah.
And I want to make money doing it.
Yeah.
And Lizzie Sunshine I'm so excited about it. It is the launching off point, in my opinion, for me. And so anything I'm doing on social media, it's not because I want a brand deal with Dove products. I want people to want to see my show or see me and want to go see me do my show.
Yeah.
And I want to then do more with that. Like I started a business in COVID called Almost Funny, where I would teach improv at rehab centers.
Oh, that's really cool.
Because I teach corporate improv. That's my day job. I teach improv.
Yeah.
So if I was teaching improv at these rehab centers, and I called it Almost Funny because when my brother called me from prison, one of the first times he was like, yeah, this is so effed up. It's almost funny. And
That's funny.
So I started calling it Almost Funny and just teach improv. And it's not about being funny. It's just about being present.
Yeah.
But improv heals, man. I love improv.
I know.
It heals. I love it. And it's not about being funny. It's about being mindful. I think improv is such a mindfulness practice.
Yes.
And so I don't know why I got off on this passionate tangent.
No, yeah.
Oh, Lizzie Sunshine. Yeah, I want it to keep snowballing. And I believe every day I journal every day. I do all this stuff that I don't want to do every day just because I think I'm on the right track.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to be brave.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm on the right track. And, I just had someone saw the July show and she asked her name's Holly Mandel, and she asked if she could direct my show and help me with it. And Holly was a groundling in LA.
Yeah.
Holly is she's a force of nature.
Yeah.
And so for her to see the show and say, I would like to help you with this.
Yeah.
We're taking it to Edinburgh in 2025. So I am.
Yeah.
I have to submit it. It's not open yet to do
But
it, but
do it.
I'm laying the groundwork.
There are so many, that's such a good show.
Thank you.
And I think you could definitely get that going in Edinburgh.
I really want to do it in Edinburgh. And
how much can we talk about Edinburgh?
Let's do it. I don't know anything, so
I saw I maybe had 4 or 5 people from New York comedy that I saw on social media doing Edinburgh.
Yeah.
And I was just so fascinated by how challenging it seems to do the show. You're doing it every day kind of thing, and you're promoting it, and you're kind of probably rewriting every now and then. And and I've seen some people talking about how they did a show for 2 people, or they did a show for there was a mom and a daughter and that's all, or something.
Imagine.
And I think that would be such a good way to kind of build your chops and do the performance with basically very little reaction and feedback.
Yes.
But at the same time, doing it there is such a good marker of this was successful. Edinburgh accepted it, and I sold however many tickets doing it.
Yeah.
And I just think it could be a really cool thing to do and really challenging.
Yeah. I want to do it so bad.
Yeah.
I love a challenge.
Yeah.
I love a challenge. I love anything that's I don't know, let's send it. I think, and honestly, Edinburgh I've been talking about because Tim Murray, who helped me with developing in the beginning, that's where he started with Witches. And I admire him so much. I'm so thankful for him because without him, Lizzie Sunshine genuinely would not exist. He helped me so much. He is the first person to ever see that show. It was me and him in a studio in Ripley Greer, and I did the whole show for him, and he gave his feedback, and he really helped me. And so I know when it comes time for Edinburgh, I'll be asking more advice because I really don't know, but I kind of want to go in blind.
Yeah.
I mean, I did the show 2 nights in a row when I did it in my hometown.
Yeah.
And the first night was 100 people, and the second night was 30 people.
Yeah.
And I would have done it for 2.
30 people is still so many.
Yeah. I mean, it felt small in that theater space because it, was.
Big. Yeah.
But I still made money on the show, and that's the first money Lizzie Sunshine made. So come on.
That's so good.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's really good. Making money is so nice. The show I'm doing for the Pride Festival, they're paying me.
Good.
It's not gonna. I'm flying there.
Is it in ticket sales they pay you?
No,
caveat.
just a fee.
Just a fee. That's nice.
Just there. I think there are no tickets. There's just sponsors for the festival, and people can come.
That's cool.
And they're paying me. It's not enough to it's not more than the flight I bought to go out there.
Yeah, but it's
to
money.
make the money and to have, it's kind of building a business, which is what we're doing.
Quite literally.
Yeah.
We're the business.
You have to have that proof that someone has paid you before.
Yes.
And I think that the more you can do that, the better.
Yeah.
And I do thinking of it as a business, because it's some people, maybe you're similar to me in this way. I think some artists just want to be an artist, and they just kind of want to like paint something or sing something or do something or act in something, but they do not have interest in being their own agent at all, or
in the business,
negotiating anything, or like selling themselves, or like anything like that. And I've noticed, even through just kind of picking and selecting and like casting for Life in Bold, I noticed that's one of the other there's a spectrum. You know, some people are a comedian because they want success and they want, like, you know, money and fame. Like, that's the reason they're doing comedy. And some people are over here doing comedy because they just love comedy, and they never posted a thing on Instagram in their lives.
Yeah, they just love it.
Yeah, and like those people end up being pretty, like, they're booked, they're getting ticket sales, like whatever. But it's just interesting because like different people are successful across the spectrum. I'm somewhere kind of on this side. Like, I care a lot about the success of my comedy, and at the same time, though, I would do it anyway.
Yes.
If it was not making a lot of money, and it is not. So
yeah.
I feel like it's just something where I notice some people hate posting on social media, and some people like are comedians so that they can post on social media.
Right. That's a totally different side of the spectrum. People who don't perform live at all but post funny content. Such a different world.
Yeah.
And it's hard coming back from one to the other. I think it's interesting, the people who are like us, who are like trying to do it, like making it more like their business.
Yeah.
Like we were both on student council.
Yeah.
We had other skills. We went to college for other things. Like,
I
think, you know, not that you have to have done any of that. That's
no,
not really the
totally. Driving
point there, but like the go-get-emness of like, I'm not just gonna create and hope someone sees me. I'm gonna create, and I'm a make you see me, and I'm gonna learn these other skills that you know, you don't necessarily, like, you didn't know. I wish, you know, like when you were in high school and like they would come and do a panel, and they would be like, you just have to want it. If you can do anything else in this world, do that to be an artist. And I remember being like, I can do other things. I can't, like,
my panels in high school were all about like puberty and cigarettes.
Oh, I mean, like, no, I mean, like when they would bring in like a successful artist to come talk to you. Like they bring, like the theater club brought in someone. They were like, you just have to want it. Like if you can do anything else. And I'm like, what? Why was the advice not how to get a day job that doesn't suck your soul and leaves you time to be creative? What about the person that says, why don't you learn how to develop a website, because you're going to need to do that. There's so many skills that I didn't know I was going to need to use to go and do this and like make it, because it's totally a business. I said this actually, the year 2024, I am making myself my own business. I am my business. I am making myself, not that I'm really starting an LLC yet necessarily, but like metaphorically. And you have to listen to this song. I'm not a huge country music person.
Yeah, I am.
But okay, I love country. Good. Yeah. I was trying to be really cool because we're in New York City.
You have to soft launch that.
Soft launch. But I love Luke Combs.
Yeah.
He has a song called "Doing This."
Oh, I never heard it. I have to listen.
It speaks to what we're talking about when you said, like, you're not doing this to be rich and famous. I'm doing this because it's my favorite thing in the world. And even if I didn't move to New York, even if I didn't decide, even if all of this wasn't happening and I still lived in the Quad Cities and I was just like a teacher and I just stayed home and became a mom and whatever it was, I would still be doing theater. Yeah. I would still be doing sketch comedy. So the song is, I'd still be doing this if I wasn't doing this.
Oh, I love that.
Right? Like it's always been about
that's really good.
The art. It's not like for him, like even if he wasn't rich and famous, he'd still be playing his guitar in some bar. Like that song makes me cry. And I know,
we gotta listen to it after this.
Okay. Yeah, it's so special, and it's exactly how I feel. This is what I would be doing no matter what. Every version of me, if I am true to myself, ends with me performing and telling stories and being a storyteller on stage.
And where can people find you if they want to support you?
Everyone.
They have to. Everybody go follow Liz. Where are they going? Where are they doing that?
Give me a big hug.
A big hug with the
a bit with the giant sweater my mom knit. Yes. If you want to follow me, you can follow me at Liz Coin.
So easy.
It's so easy.
It's
Liz
so easy.
Coin.
That's on Instagram, TikTok.
at Liz Coin. My website is lizcoin.com.
You got it.
I got it. Yeah. Thank God I got that URL.
Yeah.
So yeah, please check it out anywhere. there, and just know that I am trying my freaking best. I know we're all trying our best, and I'm so excited. So yeah, if you come and follow me and we're on the journey, we'll be on it together.
Yeah.
And yeah, thank you.
Thanks for being on my show.
Thanks for having me on the show. It happened so quickly. We're already done. I'm like, I don't want to stop talking.
I know. And you can follow me, your sexy host, at Laugh with Ben on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and laughwithben.com for all my upcoming shows. And also, you can follow the podcast at Life in Bold Pod, all those same places, and lifeinboldpod.com. So thank you so much for watching. We love you. We are so happy you are here, Liz. And,
thank you.
I hope you have a great day, an even better week. And don't forget to
live your life in bold.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yay. Live your life in bold.